a dire season Cyclones fan, and this Cyclones quarterback gets forgotten about in program history. Let's talk about the top 5 Iowa State quarterbacks of all time. My name's TJ Caldwell. Welcome back to Cyclone Kingdom. The top 5 all-time lists roll on with the first in Iowa State Cyclones program history. We started the Chiefs one yesterday. Go check that out on our YouTube channel. We're going to roll these out all summer as we hit the offseason and get prepared for the 2026-27 year. The top 5 quarterbacks of all time, you got to dig deep into your bag to get into some of these guys because there's some recency bias maybe, but also some great numbers from some of these guys. And then later on in the list, you're going to see a guy who was an absolute gamer and baller that played in the 70s. And everyone forgot about him. Only the true Iowa State Cyclone sicko fans will remember this name. The top 5 Iowa State quarterbacks of all time. I've said too much already. Let's get into it. Number 5, you already know we do the old-fashioned way. We don't do no captions, no graphics, no cool this, that, or the other. We got them on sheets of paper. Let's roll, baby. Number 5 on the list. This is a guy that played in the 70s. People forgot about him. I wasn't even alive when he was playing. A lot of people don't even know his name, but you will after today. George Amundsen was unreal in Cyclone football history. He ran and threw for double-digit touchdowns in 1971 and 1972. He was unbelievable for the Cyclones. He played running back one of his years. This guy was multifaceted, helped the Cyclones in the Big 8. Shout out to the Big 8 back in the day. And he was just an unreal football player. Doesn't get the love that he gets now because of the guys we're going to talk about on the list, but he deserves to be number 5. There's a lot of different guys you could throw in there. Sage Rosenfels, right? Joel Lanning, right? Kyle Kempt, maybe if you want to dig into your bag there. David Archer. There's a lot of different guys you can put at number 5. But George Amundsen deserves respect because of his 2-dimensional nature, 3-dimensional nature, where he can just do multiple different things for the Cyclones and be a baller. Shout out George Amundsen. That's number 5. Number 4 on the list. One of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I know he turned over the ball a lot, but it's Bret Meyer. I mean, if you know about NCAA football back in the day, NCAA football 05 on the GameCube, Bret Meyer to Todd Blythe happened over and over and over again for me. It was awesome playing with Bret Meyer. Now, he drove me nuts as a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, watching him throw interception after interception after interception. But he threw for over 2,000 yards in back-to-back years. He had one of the best wide receivers of all time, a little spoiler alert later on in our series, in Todd Blythe. And he was able to scramble and make plays. He's not going to be to the level of these next 3 guys on the list, but Bret Meyer deserves to be in any all-time discussion in Cyclone football history. He was part of an era that it ended sourly because it was the end of the McCarney era at the time Bret Meyer left. But you think about the Stevie Hicks, you think about the Todd Blythes, right? You think about the Alvin Bowens, man. Like there were so many ballers on Cyclone football in the mid-2000s, and they didn't have the success that we wanted them to have, but they were still unbelievable. And just because it was after Seneca Wallace doesn't mean Bret Meyer doesn't deserve respect. He's number 4 on the list. Number 3, it's a little bittersweet for me right now, but because of what he's done, even though he's still playing football for a different school, he deserves to be number 3 on this list because of what he did in 2024. It's Rocco Becht. It's Rocco Becht. He left for Penn State. He is no longer an Iowa State Cyclone. He's basically wore out his welcome with Cyclone fans, including me, because of things that he said and shown how he deceived and lied to Iowa State fans in going to the Iowa State women's basketball game, right? So we can talk about his legacy. We did a whole video on his legacy if you want to check that out. But the numbers speak for themselves. Rocco Becht was unreal. He was one of the best Cyclone quarterbacks ever. And in 2024, he led them to their best season ever. If they had beaten Arizona State, it would have been the all-time season in Cyclone football history, in Cyclone athletics history. 10 wins in the regular season, ending it with a win over Kansas State in Farmageddon. Yes, losing to Arizona State when you ran into the buzzsaw of Cam Scadaboo. But Rocco Becht balled out. And then in 2025, playing through a concussion, playing through different mental blocks that he was having, ended on a 3-game winning streak for Iowa State, and then everything else is history at that point. that we don't really talk about that much. But as an Iowa State quarterback, Rocco Becht has to be in the discussion. If we want to talk about true Iowa State quarterbacks, yeah, Rocco Becht's not in this discussion because he is finishing his career somewhere else. But if we're talking strictly about numbers and strictly about top 5 guys, he has to be top 3. I don't care where you put him, but if you put him any lower than 3, you're not respecting what he did for Iowa State in 2023, in 2024, and in 2025. I know he didn't play well in a couple games, but we started 5-0. He's undefeated against Iowa because 2023 doesn't count anymore. That is enough for me to be a top 3 quarterback in Iowa State history, coupled with the best season in Iowa State history. Number 3 is Rocco Becht. Number 2, there's only 2 guys left that people should have in their minds. It's just a matter of where you put them, and I have flip-flopped in the past couple of months based on conversations I've had with other Cyclone fans of where these guys are. And so number 2 is Seneca Wallace. I've had him number 1 before, but you know who number 1 is, and I'm going to get to him in just a second. But Seneca Wallace is one of my favorite athletes of all time. The way that he went about his business, the way that he took Florida State down to the wire. Seneca was in, by the way. Seneca was in that game against Bobby Bowden at Arrowhead Stadium. The best of both worlds as a Chiefs and Cyclones fan. The Heisman hype Seneca had, even for just that fleeting month before the wheels fell off in that 2002 season. Iowa State football was better because Seneca Wallace was in it. The Lane Danielson, the Ennis Haywoods, right? The guys that were a part of this just resurgence of Iowa State football. From Seneca Wallace to Dan McCarney to all these guys that were a part of it. Seneca was awesome. And then you end up going to the NFL and being a backup quarterback and playing for the Seahawks and playing for the Packers and playing for these other teams where he made a name for himself. But he's arguably one of the 50 best quarterbacks in college football history. If you think about just what he did and the talent level he had, the run against Texas Tech is a top 50 highlight in college football history. Are you kidding me? That was from an Iowa State quarterback. But his numbers and his stats and his success wasn't to the level of number 1. And so that's why he has to be number 2. He was number 1 on my list for a long time. But in the past couple of months, I've changed my mind because the success is super important and nobody was more successful than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's number 1 on the list. Let's just put aside what he's done in the NFL and becoming a top 10, top 15 quarterback, taking the 49ers to the Super Bowl, if not for that guy behind me winning the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Brock Purdy at Iowa State changed Iowa State. He loved Iowa State. He stayed at Iowa State. And the numbers speak for themselves. His stats are unreal. Coming into a game at Oklahoma State as a true freshman and hanging a 40-piece on him as a freshman quarterback that, by the way, could have gone to Alabama, could have gone to Texas A&M. People forget that. The last 3 schools in the running for Brock Purdy were Alabama, Texas A&M, and Iowa State. So a huge shout out to Matt Campbell for doing what he did to get Brock Purdy to Iowa State. To have him back up Kyle Kempt. To have him back up a Joel Lanning. To have him back up a Jacob Park. Right? Where Brock Purdy then stepped onto the stage and never gave his job back. He was awesome. Now, the clutch gene, you can say what you will about it. He did make some mistakes in big games. The Oklahoma 2020 Big 12 Championship, where I believe if Ishim Young doesn't get wrongfully ejected on the second play of the game, Iowa State probably has a Big 12 championship. Brock Purdy took him down the field through a game-sealing interception. But his stats and his love for the game and his love for Iowa State, and then especially, it's not an NFL discussion, but I think you can't not put Brock Purdy on the list at number 1 and not talk about what he's done with the 49ers. I mean, going from Mr. Irrelevant to being a top player in the game. He's playing on Sunday Night Football and throwing 4 touchdowns. I mean, he's making an Iowa tight end look great. That's more of a joke than anything. But him and George Kittle are building chemistry with each other. He's got Christian McCaffrey in the backfield and making him look better. Like, he's making guys look better and becoming himself a superstar. And that just seals the deal for me in terms of where he ranks all time at Iowa State. I've had Seneca 1 and Brock Purdy 2 for the longest time. And after discussions with a lot of other Cyclone fans, they have swayed me that you got to flip it. You got to flip it. I know Seneca's talent was there, but Brock Purdy just did his thing at Iowa State and created some of the best memories for Cyclone fans ever. And really, memories that will last a lifetime because Rocco Beck moved on. If Rocco Beck stayed at Iowa State for his senior year, Matt Campbell doesn't leave, right? All these different things. Maybe we're having a different discussion about where Rocco Beck ranks. But Brock Purdy has left memories for a lifetime at Iowa State and keeping Matt Campbell around for that time when USC and Michigan and the Lions were calling. I love Brock Purdy. He's a follower of Jesus Christ, which is even cooler for me. That has nothing to do with the list, really, because that's more about football. But the way he's carried himself, the way he's honored Christ with his attitude, with his play, with the stuff he's done for the Bay Area, with the stuff he did for Iowa State community. He's a Cyclone for life in my book. One of the best Cyclones of all time. Cyclone legend. I mean, all these conversations we have nowadays about whether or not someone's a Cyclone legend if they leave, we don't have to have that about Brock Purdy because he stayed. He stayed. So leave your comments down below what you think are the top 5 Iowa State quarterbacks of all time, who you would add, who I missed out on, and we'll continue to roll out these things. Top 5 list all summer long. We'll have instant reactions to different stuff, season previews coming up, but make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, roll clones. And how about those Chiefs?